is Maddison Weber at Lincoln Park for the rededication of the Emancipation Statue. Do I have permission to record this interview?
You do.
Okay. What is your name?
My name is Phil Loomis.
Okay. What brings you to the rededication today?
I live nearby, so I come to this park often, almost daily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Give your thoughts, feelings, and opinions about the statue.
I'm a big fan, obviously, or maybe not obviously, of President Lincoln, and I admire his life, not just as president, but other aspects of his life, and the role which he played in the U.S. at that time. You know, when was he born? He was born in like 1805 or something?
Something like that.
Right. And so a long time ago.
Very long time ago.
And you know, he lived in a log cabin and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I just found out yesterday, what did I find out yesterday? That he was among the people, he was one of the lawyers for the Transcontinental Railway.
Yeah, which is so interesting to
Right?
think about when you're like, oh, history is
Yeah.
like the weirdest thing ever, where you wouldn't think about like Lincoln and Transcontinental
No.
Railroad, but there
He had a
was.
job, right?
Yeah.
And it was a real deal then,
Yeah.
right? It was a big deal.
It changed the country
It certainly did.
from agrarian to this industrial, whatever it is at this point. Yeah, it's so interesting to think about.
Right.
How do you feel that this statue represents Lincoln and the enslaved people that he freed?
Recently, I've been encountering lots of representations about our recent past, and I'm talking like the 1940s and the 1950s,
Yeah,
and how racial relationships were even so, to us, would seem very strange, but there are all these representations out there of what was actually going on then. And I will tell you a very brief story from when I was 19,
okay.
and I took a hitchhiking trip which had a period in Louisiana.
Okay.
And I was hitchhiking, so I got picked up by a young couple, a very tall, handsome black guy from Louisiana, and a very small, petite, very white girl. And these people were like a few years older than me, from the upper Midwest, right? And she was living there in Louisiana. And they decided to feed me dinner and take care of me. And it was total, for me, like, these people were adults and I was not. And yet, so it was like the beginning of the new world in how we think about this very fraught topic,
Interesting.
right?
Yeah,
And very recent topic,
very recent.
right?
Does the statue hold any particular meaning for you?
I just found out this morning that this was the original Lincoln Memorial.
Interesting.
That is a second Lincoln Memorial, and I can understand. This is a pretty low budget attempt,
Yeah.
relatively speaking.
If anything, what do you think should happen to the statue? Should it remain the same, be changed? Kind of give your thoughts on that.
I kind of think it would be, I know that you're developing conversation around this topic,
Yeah.
and I could imagine you even continuing the conversation, say with some sort of a kiosk, You know, displays of what you've uncovered and collected,
Yeah.
and that because I guess the thought that I'm encountering just this now is that we got kind of locked, and we don't hear other people's conversations. And I wonder, I think that'd be really interesting.
Okay. Obviously, there's the Emancipation Statue. There's also the statue with Mary McLeod Bethune.
Right.
Are there any statues you hope to see be built in this park or in DC?
I think statues are an interesting technology. Obviously, we've had statues for a while now, right? I wonder what we can do with this.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Oh, I've not thought about any additional statues. I think that based on my perspective and my area of history, I would love some more representation of the average person.
Yeah.
Um,
And what, you got any in mind?
Not so much, but I'm a big microhistory person.
Right.
So something that represents the
Right.
average person would, I think, be my.
And isn't that like something that we've all decided is sort of the next wave?
Yes, we're headed towards more behind the scenes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Average Joe walking down the street, which has always been a fascination of mine.
You got any heroes in terms of collectors?
Not at the moment.
How about that Chicago guy who's the radio man who did 20,000 interviews? Who am I thinking of? Studs Terkel.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Not so. Not so much. Not a sort of universal model, but a model, and a successful one, right?
Is there anything else you would like to add to this interview?
Let me think. I'd just like to say thanks, and keep it going.
Thank you so much.
Okay.